We're glad you're with us. This is the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak back in the studio with two names that you've gotten to know over the years, Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. Kirk and Paul, they're with the Retirement Education Foundation, and education really is the focus. This is what we do here on the show each and every week. Kirk and Paul bring you insights on this topic of retirement planning that is growing more and more complex by the day. So if retirement is on your radar, this is the show for you. We also talk about the courses that the Retirement Education Foundation sponsor. Of course, the foundation is a charity, and these courses are like master's level courses on retirement planning. We want to see you there. So throughout the show, we'll be giving you ways you can register and reserve your spot. Be listening for that. We do have a great program for you today about what you actually need to know in order to retire. In this age of information, there's so much, right at our fingertips. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed. And this is really about changing our mindset and understanding why you really don't have to know everything in order to retire. That sounds a little counterintuitive from the two of you who are all about education. But tell me what you mean by that, Kirk and Paul.
Well, today's show, it's going to be interesting because in one hand, we're saying, like you said, you don't need to know everything to be able to retire. But on the other hand, we're telling you, what the hell are you doing? You spent 40 years of your life working 90,000 hours. Can't you invest 8 hours to attend a course on retirement, specifically for that $1 to $20 million family that is a master's level content, 8 hours in universities? So I think the piece that we're gonna talk about a lot of different aspects of what you need to know, what you don't need to know, and why we think so many people freeze and have a very difficult time retiring, and then when they retire, spending their money and enjoying retirement, all the fear and everything that's associated with it. And so, Paul, given your background, and I think what's going to happen is some of the people listening early on, we know who tends to listen. They're the more technical, a little more advanced financial literacy. They're not going to like this, but much of this is behavioral. They're searching for something to gain perceived control that they can't get, and it's paralysis by analysis, and it really is. It's behavioral, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, this age of information, I love that. This age of information is sort of a perfect storm if you're already a person who is somewhat anxious and needs to understand everything and how everything is built. If you're that person, man, AI and the age of information is killing you because you can't get enough information, right? And you don't really know how to filter what's correct and what's not correct. Most of the time, this analysis by paralysis is primarily driven. I know people aren't going to hear this, but it's primarily driven by people by anxiety, right? Because there's this belief that if I can understand how the engine is built, I have control over the engine, right? If I understand how something happens, I have more control. And the reality is it could quickly flip from having control to having no control, because you end up making then no decisions because you have to understand every single thing. You don't know what's right or wrong. And making no decision is a decision, but it's a bad one, right?
And Paul, people listening, a lot of them, especially your engineers and your CPAs, your accountants, your executives, they're going to say, we're logic driven. This isn't emotions. But when it comes to your money, it's emotions. I don't care what you say. I mean, listen, we have taught tens of thousands. We have hundreds of thousands of people consuming the charity's content. We know what drives your behavior. And so much of this is your relationship with money and the power it has over you. And we're going to teach you what you need to do to get power over your money. And if you don't get power over your money, you're going to be okay. But that's all you're going to be. You're going to live retirement way underspending what you otherwise should. You'll work longer than you need to. Look, I don't know what we have to do. We're a national charity. That is what we are. I don't know what we have to do to convince you to attend an 8-hour, what is master's level content course taught at major universities in your areas and streamed live so you can participate while we're teaching the courses. If you'd like to register for one of these classes, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
So, I want to clarify one thing, Kirk, that I said. I think being a recovered psychologist sometimes hurts me because I think people just assume I'm trying to diagnose or everything's mental. It's not. The reality is it's normal to feel a little anxious about retiring. There's nothing abnormal about that. There's nothing abnormal about wanting to, make sure you find the right person that you could trust, that someone doesn't take advantage of you, that you're a little worried about. Right? I mean, these are normal feelings. It's just how you do deal with it, right? And the reality is that just sometimes people get stuck, right? People end up not making decisions because they feel like they need to know everything. And there's no way you can know everything. And how do you really know what to believe, anyways? I mean, you Google this topic and you're going to get a million different answers on anything you Google, right? So at the end of the day, you're not going to understand everything. You want the basics. Right? We're going to talk about this. You want the basics. There's certain things you really do need to know. But if you find yourself stuck in the mud because you can't figure everything out, I will guarantee you what's driving that is anxiety. It just is. I'm sorry. That's the facts. It just is.
It is. And they're going to say, no, I need the math. So look, that's the thing. The one thing about the charities courses, I mean, these are advanced courses, just prepare you. Like, um, you're going to know the math. You're going to know the math to make in the math, the plan, your plan and math should drive every decision, not your feelings, emotions, not your advisors, not the people on TV, not your feelings and emotions. Your feelings and emotions are irrelevant. The math should drive this. And the problem is there is so much information out there, literally, with AI, which is 50%, almost 50% of the time wrong. With uh, everyone's an expert, everyone's written a book, social media. There is so much information and so much is feared, driven around fear, generating fear. You're going to outlive your money, inflation. The market is volatile. I mean, it's the same story for 30 years. This is a really volatile time in the market. So hire a team and don't spend your money in retirement and protect your principal. That's all nonsense, Paul. It's nonsense. They are incentivized, our industry incentivized to create fear. So you'll hire them and you won't spend any money. The less you spend, the more they make. So attend one of these 8-hour courses. We will teach you how to gain power over your money. All you have to do is make a $29 donation to charity. Attend one of these 8-hour classes that are taught over 2 evenings or 1 full Saturday. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. Thanks for listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Be sure to follow or subscribe when listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now back to the show.
We're talking about the things you actually need to know in order to retire and retire successfully. You don't need to know everything. That's kind of a relief, Kirk and Paul, I'm going to be honest, because it's tempting to feel like you've got to know it all. And I want to talk about goals. I think we get really caught up in having the perfect answer to every single question, but you want us to change our mindset here. What should we be thinking about?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. Okay, so again, and there's a couple of themes throughout today we will repeat, right? In the first and most important takeaway I think from today's show is this relationship people have with their money. Right now, their relationship with money is power. I mean, the money has power over them. That I know people don't want to hear that, admit that, but money has power over them. And that is part of the reason many of our listeners and so many of the people attending our course have done so much better than most people, because they have served money so that they could save to raise their family, save to put some of their children through schools, for some of them, save for retirement. And most of the people listening to our shows and attending our 8-hour classes have done extremely well compared to the average. The average baby boomer has $200,000 saved for retirement. The average person attending our course has $1 to $20 million of investable assets. So they've done exceptionally well at this serving money, but in that spirit, money has power over them. I know my engineer friends are going to struggle with this, but you have to find a way to get power over your money. And I think they believe what's going to give them power over their money is understanding every little detail of every little aspect. And frankly, as smart as they all are, they are listening to an industry that is full of marketing people who say the next 10 callers get a free roadmap to retirement, or the next 10 callers gets a free tax analysis. And they are just selling sizzle and nonsense to people, which creates confusion and ends up causing people to shut down. And they just say, well, I'll keep working. Nothing bad can happen. Well, there's a lot bad that can happen with your money if you keep working in your 60s. Your one major market event from your portfolio being down 25, 30%, and you losing your job. You've just blown up your retirement. So, in the spirit of looking for every answer, they just delay, they underspend, they keep working, they end up paying a lot more money in taxes. They freeze, especially the more advanced financial literacy people, because they conceptually have an idea of what they're looking for, and they keep thinking they found it and they don't find it. I'm going to tell you something. I will make a guarantee, Paul. When people attend our 8-hour class, we've been doing this for a decade and a half now, tens of thousands of people. We have yet have someone come through our class that doesn't say, I now have found what I'm looking for. I understand the math that's going to drive every decision around my retirement, my money, my taxes, my everything. This course gives it to them. It gives them power over their money, but they have to attend. I don't know what to tell people.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the word power is really about freedom, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the
Yes.
day, right? I think most people feel, or control, right? I think most people feel like money has control over them in their lives, right? And I think there's some truth to that as you're working, maybe raising a family, you have a job. I think most people would say at some point they want to have control over their money, right? They don't want money to dictate their life. They want the freedom. They want freedom, right? Most people want that. And I think I love this idea, and I think it's really true that people are often looking for that perfect answer or the perfect answers. Until they find it, they keep working,
Mhm.
or they keep doing what they're doing because they don't find the perfection. When the reality is most people's lives are going to change when you retire anyways, and what you thought was perfect isn't perfect anyways. But I think this idea of looking for for perfection, I got to find every single needle in the haystack, I think gets people bogged down. And like you say, I love that what you're saying is that what ends up happening is money that has power over you, right? And I think the goal, everyone who's listening wants to have control over their money. They want to have power and freedom. They just don't know how to get it.
Paul, people. This cohort of people that listen to our shows, we have the data and attend our courses. They think they have control. They have no control. They didn't feel control in 2022. They were managing their money, or they had a team, and they felt totally out of control in 2022 when the market, everyone's portfolio was down almost 25%. They didn't feel control during COVID. They didn't feel control during the financial crisis. But the difference then, all these times is someone else was sending them a paycheck. As soon as they retire and something happens, there will be no control. I don't care if you're managing your own money or the plan has to drive your decisions, not a person, not an advisor, not you. The math has to drive these decisions. There is a math solution to this. There is, and we teach it. It's nuanced, it's complicated. That's why it's master's level content. That's why it's 8 hours. You got to attend one of these courses. We teach them over 2 evenings or one full Saturday. It doesn't matter where you're at in the country. You can stream the class live when we're in the University of Michigan or Oakland University while we're teaching the course. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. Listening from outside Michigan or Missouri? We stream courses live from the university so you can attend anywhere in the country. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org to sign up. And now back to the show.
I want to get back to this topic today, really understanding what do we need to know? When you boil it all down, what is the most important thing? And I know Without the right guidance, it doesn't really matter what you know, right, Kirk and Paul?
That's right. I mean, I think there's a couple of things here, and the message I don't want to. And Paul was concerned. We talked about this in between the segments. Is that we're concerned that people are getting mm, confusing messages, and here's what we're saying: is that we know many of the people listening and attending our shows. They're financially financially their financial literacy is high. They're bright. They're talented. They've saved a lot of money. They've made a lot of good decisions in their life. They've put themselves in a position to have a great retirement. What ends up happening is people, I think, obsess looking for the perfect answers, even to the point of how much money do I need in retirement? And that's the wrong question. It's how much money do you want? How much money do you want? Anyone that says to you, by the way, how much money do you need? You're with the wrong team. It should be how much money do you want? And then math, a plan that someone has literally built for you, spending 50 plus hours iterating, running hundreds of scenarios is going to drive what you can have. And that plan's going to tell you everything you need to do in terms of where to invest, how much risk to take, where to take your income from when the market's up, when the market's down, from a tax perspective, everything. It's going to tell you what you can have. So people obsess on trying to get all the answers together to be able to make decisions. And really, the plan needs to tell you what you can have and the best path for you to accomplish your goals. Now, you guys are consumed with information everywhere in an industry. I hope people hear us. It is an industry intended on just trying to sell you. If I could give you the emails and the conferences and the information that is sent to me and that we go to, it's all about growing your AUM, selling annuities, selling, growing your firm, growing your business. Nothing on how to plan, how to technically take you through this. It's all around marketing. And so that's the intent of this class. The class, my favorite part of the class, Paul, is we teach you how to choose a team, how to do background checks, how they should get paid, what specific questions you should be asking to identify if you have the right team, and then 8 hours of master's level content on what the math is so no one can play games with you. You will know if they're really iterating, running scenarios, risk mitigating, because you're going to be confronted with eight major market events throughout retirement. This is how you're going to feel in control when they happen, is having a plan and knowing where to go, how to go, when to go, when these things occur, and there's going to be lots of them occurring.
So just to synthesize, I
That's
think
a lot.
it's a lot. No, but you're right on. I think what you're saying is there is a difference between, right, gaining knowledge in order to filter the noise, to know what to believe, what not to believe, which is the sole real purpose of the charity, right? The charity is to educate you on knowing how to filter the noise, what's right, what's wrong, and how to find the team that will build you that right plan. Versus if you're find yourself bogged down in all of the details because you're a perfectionist, you want to understand every little nuance. That's not about gaining knowledge, folks. That's not you're trying to, have control. That's just because you're driven by, sorry to say, a little anxiety and fear,
You
right? I hate to say it. If you find yourself bogged down, that's a good sign that you got to step back. Your anxiety is driving this. The purpose of the class is to help you with getting knowledge, to know how to filter the noise, how to find the team to build the right plan. And as you said, once you find that plan, once you have that plan, the plan ends up controlling. It's not money.
No, it gives you power and control over your money, the plan.
Right.
But Paul, you're right. It's funny. You were saying something. I was thinking, so many of these people, the people we're talking about, I mean, these are technically smart, advanced people.
Of course, yeah, for
Right.
sure. For
And
sure.
so what ends up happening is you're right. They're looking for all the perfect answers. What's funny is the perfect answers they're looking for they have been conditioned. People don't like to hear this, but how we think and feel has been shaped and influenced by the information we've consumed our whole lives, right? And so in the spirit of looking for perfection and all the answers, they already have these preconceived biases. They have these biases that are influencing what they think is perfection.
That's a great point.
And then when they get some knowledge, information that conflicts with that, they shut down. Now because I've hurt my ego, I've hurt my feel. I mean, it's wild. And so that's what the class does. It empowers you. When you leave this class, we've been doing this long enough. We have raised millions of dollars so that we could continue to provide this education to you through people who have been through this course and we've influenced their retirements. We will change your retirement because we will give you the power to be able to make the decisions you need to make to have the retirement you want. And the retirement you want for many of you is giving you the ability to spend a lot more money, like 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, knowing when you can retire, where to take your income from when the market's down, when the market's up. You will have the math. The math will finally give you the control and power you're looking for to make good decisions and actually act. So register for one of these courses. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Classes are forming now. Go to retirementplanningedu.org to register. Again, that's retirementplanningedu.org. Use the promo code PODCAST to receive 50% off your tuition. And now, back to the show.
Okay, let's get back to this show. I do want to talk about a topic that it's kind of in vogue, right? The topic of taxes in retirement. And now I think people are a bit panicked and they don't know where to go for the right information on this. This is nothing new. I know the two of you know that. But because now so many people are popping their heads up claiming to be able to help with this topic, I think there's a bit of confusion out there, isn't there?
Well, there is. Now, let Paul and I in our charity prove to you we know who you are and who's listening right now. And who comes to our classes. Like, listen, we keep telling you, hundreds of thousands of people consume the charity's content. We've taught tens of thousands of people these 8-hour master level program. We also do tons of financial literacy for young adults in lower income communities. But for this show, let me prove to you we know who you are. So we know that taxes consume your decision making. It's impacting what you spend, whether you'll spend it, what you sell, when you sell. It's impacting your decisions around retirement. Taxes has become such a major contributor to your decision making. And that is, by the way, that isn't everybody. That is you, this cohort that listens to our shows and comes to these classes. This is prevalent, so prevalent, especially in that $1 to $10 million family, obsessed on taxes, right? Not only are we afraid of taxes, we're trying to figure ways to pay as little taxes as possible. And it's interesting, right? So for almost 15 years now, in our 8-hour class, we literally have taught people how taxes will increase the longevity of your money many, many, many years. We show examples where it increases we do examples in the class where it extends the life of your money by 8 years. We do it by 13 years. The plan that we walk through, the sample plan in the charity's webinars that you can go to the charity's website right now and watch, the same plan that we go through in the class, that plan saves $800,000 in taxes over their lifetime. I think that person has $5 million of income in retirement, 50% from pre-tax, 50% from post-tax, and they pay $120,000 in federal income taxes over a lifetime. We have been teaching for decades how to iterate and run scenarios and run many iterations, taking Social Security 65, 66, 67, 68, Roth converting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000, teaching you how to pay the least amount of taxes over your lifetime by running iterations. There is no software that does this, Paul. It doesn't exist. And what has happened in our industry over the last 5 years is everyone realizes you guys your taxes drive so many of your decisions that they are all selling you the next 10 callers gets a free tax analysis. BS. These people are not qualified. A CPA in our private practice, I own a CPA firm. In our class, we have CPAs that are teaching and producing the content. We are teaching you to run the iterations. A software can't do this. It can't be done by an intern in 30 minutes. It takes 50 hours of manual iterating, 30 years of a retirement, trying different taking different money from different places at different times, Roth converting different dollar amounts, Roth converting different dollar amounts, Social Security at different times. We teach it in the class. The number, God, I get so worked up on this because hundreds of thousands of people are consuming the charity's content. 50% of the downloads from our charity's content are people in the financial service industry. So they're downloading the charity's education so that they can turn around and then market and sell it to the consumer. And it creates so much confusion and people getting taken advantage of. It's very frustrating.
Yes, it is
Sorry.
frustrating and it's overwhelming because we see it every day, right? I think Kirk that this whole topic of taxes is fascinating because you started by saying that people are so obsessed with taxes. It's the hot topic for sure. I love
Yes.
Megan's intro. It's a hot topic. People are so obsessed that in some ways people become immobilized by this. I met
Yes.
someone in a class recently who was who didn't want to spend money in retirement because they were going to pay capital gains.
It's crazy.
And I was like, you should celebrate if you have to pay capital gains. That actually means you won, right?
Yes.
That's a good. I mean, in some ways, that's good news. It's better than losing money, right? People become so obsessed. We're not saying. I mean, we're saying the exact opposite. Our goal is to help you learn how to find the right team that ultimately could save you taxes in the future. But you can't get so bogged down that you become immobilized. You don't spend money. You work too long because of this.
Right, literally. I mean, if you have highly appreciated stocks, investments, there's donor advised funds, there's charitable trust, there's Qs. There's so many ways to mitigate, eliminate, or significantly reduce the taxes. But a lot of you listeners know what those things are, but you have no idea on how and when to implement any of those strategies. That it's a math problem. We teach it in the class. This is why the class is 8 hours, master's level content taught in universities, or you can stream it from wherever you're at in the country from home while we're teaching it live. Just please attend one of these classes. It will change your retirement. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. To find our latest white papers and webinars, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. And remember to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now back to the show.
Now, there is this interesting dichotomy between being educated and being informed and also being overwhelmed by too much information. So today on the show, Kirk and Paul, they're trying to help us distill what is really important for you to understand and also what you can set aside as potentially just noise. And one of those things that I do want to talk about is the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, and the way that it's kind of blowing through so many different industries now, and how smart consumers might be able to discern where to put AI in terms of their retirement planning, how they should look at it, Kirk and Paul.
Well, I'm excited we added this segment to the show today because I feel, and it's something we talk about a lot. I feel like the 8-hour master's level content courses that the charity has been teaching is really historically been, it does a lot and it's advanced, but I think one of the core value propositions it provides is the ability to filter out what is accurate or applicable information for me in my retirement versus what is marketing sizzle, people trying to create fear and anxiety to get you to do certain things, to buy certain things, to buy these services, to buy this annuity, all the nonsense. Like it gives you this filter, this tool through math, through a charity's unbiased education, and helping you to really quantify what will drive performance and success in retirement versus what is just marketing sizzle, right? And so the problem as we continue to teach this course, as the more advanced our industry is getting, the deeper we need to dig, the more technical we need to get into the skills of how to iterate and what the math really is, not just the type of team you should look for, what type of information you should look for. We actually got to teach people how it's actually done so that they can catch people if they're just lying or manipulating or selling something. So then you compile all this content that this industry is now putting out there, and you layer AI on top, chat, Gemini, Grok, all the resources that all of our typical people who attend our courses utilize. And it really creates a lot of confusion. And I think most of our listeners, Paul, I'll let you go here, but I think most of our listeners know how inaccurate right now AI is. The chats, the Geminis, the information is very inconsistent. It is not very accurate. I can personally tell you, being in this industry, we lean on testing things against it all the time. And they are consistently wrong on Social Security, on tax questions, on investment decisions, on income planning issues. It's just consuming. All that they're doing is pulling the information from the industry that's publicly dispensed and then applying it and then throwing it out to the public. And it's a lot of nonsense. It's not good information yet.
Yeah, in some ways, I mean, AI is fascinating. In some ways, it's both a gift and a curse,
For sure.
right? I mean, obviously, there's huge benefits to AI, right? The problem is, at least now, like most new revolutions, like most new things, it's in an infancy stage. And as you said, it's really hard to sift through what is true and what's not true in AI. I mean, I've personally have ran into this where I've had, I had a medical thing, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to test AI and see what are they going to tell me what to do. And literally what they told me what to do when I spoke to a physician was exactly wrong. But the problem is I didn't know it was wrong.
Right.
Like the problem is you don't know what's right or wrong when you use AI, right? That's the challenge. I would say, I mean, the theme of this whole show is about knowledge, right? And, there's a difference between having knowledge to know, what to believe and when not to believe, what to filter, when not to filter. Sometimes knowing what you don't know is the best piece of knowledge you can get, right? That's knowledge. And that's what the charity's about. It's about giving you knowledge to know what to believe and when not to believe. But it's not to get you bogged down into the nitty-gritty, because then that's never a good thing. So, and I think that's the problem with AI right now. Maybe in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or at some point it will evolve, but right now it's challenging.
It's the Wild West.
It's the Wild West. It
It's
really
funny,
is.
Paul. One more story on AI was when OBBB came out. The one big beautiful or big ugly bill, depending on which side of the aisle you're on. Just playing with all of them, I was getting inconsistent answers and often very inaccurate answers. So I would just caution you guys, if you are following that for your tax, your laws, your strategies, it's not there yet. It's just not there yet. And so again, the class will teach you that. The class will teach you the math that you should focus on, and what will drive performance will help you save taxes. It will help you not get taken advantage of or get confused trying to do it yourself using AI, bad people in the industry. It's going to be the filter that gives you the freedom to take power over your money again. So do me a favor, stick around for the next segment. We will talk about what a real comprehensive plan looks like and what we teach in the class. So if you'd like to register for one of our 8-hour master's level content courses taught at major universities, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. Thanks for listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Be sure to follow or subscribe when listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And now back to the show.
Today's show, so insightful from Kirk and Paul, as they're helping us to cut through the noise and understand at the heart of it all, what do we really need to know to retire? There's so much noise out there. It can be overwhelming. It can get a little confusing too. And I know here, Kirk and Paul, there is one central theme that you're going to talk about, because I hear it a lot. And it is about that plan, isn't it?
It is, Megan. So a couple of things. First, any of our regular listeners that are around right now listening to the show, you know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what really drives success in retirement, what is going to give you power over your money in retirement versus right now, money having power over you. It's what's going to give you the freedom to eliminate all the anxiety or seriously mitigate most of the anxiety as you're aging and you're confronted with a financial service industry that all they want to do is create anxiety and fear, because the less you spend, the more they make. People who are helping you in this industry have no incentive to make you feel comfortable and not have fear, because the less you spend, the more they make. So, those of you who are regular listeners that know what we're going to talk about, that haven't been to a class, I'm just going to say, I don't know what you're doing. You need to get to a class. Stop procrastinating. Get to the 8-hour master's level content courses taught at universities. There's no excuse. You can stream them too. Only 40% of people get to choose when they retire. You are one major market event from you blowing up your retirement, because when we have that major market event, you are likely going to lose your job and your income is going to significantly less than it should have been in retirement because you have procrastinated attending this course. So attend this course. So listen, here's what we're going to teach in the class. We're going to teach you what takes a competent team of CFPs, CPAs, attorneys, and wealth managers who should be working together, collaborating. They should spend over 50 hours running hundreds of iterations, like hundreds of scenarios, to optimize for income or optimize for legacy, to optimize for performance, to minimize taxes. So let me back up. If we're optimizing for income, you can have withdrawal rates. You can take withdrawals of 7, 8, 9% in retirement. You can have that if you find the right plan and the right team. The math will let you do it. We will teach you how. You can save, many of you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes if someone's running hundreds of scenarios, iterating, trying to pay the least amount of taxes over their lifetime. You can mitigate the risk what is historically been over a 30-year retirement, 8 major market events. That's what you should expect, is 8 major market events. Now, what the plan is going to teach you is driving success and giving you the ability to take more income in retirement or drive performance. Is where do I take my income from in retirement when the market's up versus when the market's down, and how to construct a plan to have the runway for any sort of sustained downturn. You can mitigate those 8 major market events. You can mitigate the risk of an early death of a spouse. You can mitigate the massive tax trap that will be left to a surviving spouse because they go from married filing joint to single. These are all things that are being taught in this class, and a properly constructed retirement plan will give you. Problem is, you guys don't know the math. There aren't many people in the industry providing this planning because there's no incentive for them to provide you the plan. You have to demand this plan. And first, before you can demand it, you need to know what you're looking for. Paul?
Yeah, I think we have some great stats that I think highlight exactly what you just said in terms of the fact that the most people out there have no such thing as the thing you're talking about, right?
Correct.
And that's what, can I throw out a couple?
Yeah, go.
So almost 60% of those currently working plan to work when they retire. Now, that's not because, am I wrong?
No, that's good.
That's not because they want to. It's because they don't know if they have enough.
Exactly.
Right? Close to 30% of baby boomers are unsure how much they need to retire. And only this stat is unbelievable. Only 14% of retirees ever touch investment principal because they've been taught 14%. It means only 14% of you will ever touch the principal. Because why? Because someone has told you that the only way to make sure that you don't outlive your money is not to spend your principal, right? The charity teaches you how to spend down your principal in a controlled, responsible manner and enjoy your life and never run out of money. But
that's crazy.
That's crazy. It's
only 14% touch their principal.
Yeah.
That is so insane. Here's a stat to go with that. 80% of people will die with the same amount of wealth they retired with. People are afraid. People aren't cheap when they get old. They get scared because cognitively things change, and our industry has no incentive, none at all, to teach you how to spend more money. So you do not have a plan. E-money, Right Capital, Money Guide Pro, Money Guide Elite, all the different money guides, the retirement analyzers. That is not retirement planning. That is a cookie cutter with default rules. An intern spit the information and put it out in 30 minutes. That is not what we're talking about. Attend one of these 8-hour courses with master's level content taught in universities. Do yourself a favor. It will change your retirement. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
Retirement Education Foundation is a fiscally sponsored program of United Charitable, a registered 501c3 public charity. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Retirement Education Foundation is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Retirement Education Foundation is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Retirement Education Foundation. This radio show is paid for by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.